Hey, kia ora, Helen Brums here, coming to you live from Sun City in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 1331. What do I call it? Palindrome? No, that's words. It's a blast from the past. So today, early this morning before I got started with work and everything, and I apologize for being on almost an hour late. Excuse me. Zeffie was sick earlier today, and then she decided to start really performing to go out, like about 10 minutes before I was due to go live. And so I was sort of like, okay, she's been sick. I have no idea what's going on with the digestive system. She hasn't eaten anything. She's drunk a little bit of water. I got to get her outside. And so we went for our walk at that point. But she was fine on the walk. She just needed to go. That was all. So anyway, here we are. So I apologize for the lateness, but blast from the past. So this morning I was on Facebook doing my normal Facebook morning routine and stuff, and noticed I'd been tagged in a post. I thought, I wonder what, and Casey had tagged me in this post, and I thought, I wonder what he's tagged me in now. You never know. And so I go and have a look, and I just started laughing. It was, he had, and now in the mastermind group that he runs in our private Facebook group, he had posted a video of an interview that he and I did with a couple of other people 10 years ago, back in 2013. I just started laughing. And throughout the day, when I've had a chance, I've been listening to it throughout the day, and I thought, dang, I knew what I was talking about back then. Wow, I was pretty smart. But it was sort of like, wow. And I'm like, and at times I was watching the video and I go, man, this is a crappy video. It was done on Google Plus. There was 4 of us on there, and whoever was speaking got, you can see the 4 people across the bottom. Whoever was speaking got put up into the thing, and I thought that really talks about production before perfection on that. But it was so funny going back and watching that and hearing I'm like, damn. I'm like, I want to book with that person. I sounded like I knew what I was talking about. And I was sort of like, oh, that's just kind of improved over the years, I guess. But it was actually kind of fun going back. And it suddenly got me going and thought, wonder what other things are out. Because I know that there's podcasts from when I started, when I was on Blog Talk Radio. Those are all still available on Blog Talk Radio. I think my first one was on hummingbirds. I don't know why I did hummingbirds. Probably because it was all about rest and relaxation. They only spend a certain amount of time flying, and then to recover from the flying and digest what they picked up during the flying, they then go and have a sleep for like an hour, a couple of hours or something like that before they go buzzing around again. It was kind of interesting to see, they actually only flew like that for like 10, I think it was like 10 or 15 minutes, but then they go and rest for like a couple of hours. It was a long time since I did that, so don't quote me on specifics for that one. So that was kind of fun. And, and I thought, wow. And then I started laughing again, because I remember one of my favorite ones, which I totally screwed up on at the time. And poor Brad was almost falling off his chair, rolling around with laughter, because after I finished the podcast, I went and said, what did you think of that? And he is roaring with laughter. And I'd never heard him laugh that hard before. And I thought, what the heck? What did I say that caused that? And when he told me, I was sort of like, oh, jeepers. And it was a radio show I did on the Galapagos. But at the time, and even though I'm in travel, there are some words out there I have no clue how to say. And so instead of saying Galapagos, I was calling it the Galapagos. For 30 minutes on a radio show, it was all about the Galapagos. And now that you've learned that, you will never forget how to spell Galapagos. And when I finally got to Brad, I says, well, what's the problem? He says, it's Galapagos, not Galapagos. I have left that radio show up there. And the reason I left it up there is because, yes, the information on there is good. Yes, I screwed up on the name of the islands for the entire thing, but I was consistent. I didn't change halfway through. I was consistent the whole time. And production before perfection. I keep getting told production before perfection. If you're waiting to get ready, you will never start. So this is one thing that when you go back and look at videos you've done, interviews that you've done, podcasts you've done, books you've written, that sort of thing that, are now been a few years and stuff since you did them, or you go back and listen to some of the first podcasts you did, the first videos that you did, they will suck. It is. I have yet to find somebody who gets on the video for the very first time and like nails it. I have yet to see that. My videos back then sucked. Today, some of them still suck. I've been doing this for 1,331 days in a row, and some of my videos during that time, they still suck, despite the fact that I've had oodles and oodles and oodles and oodles of practice. But going back and listening to some of the stuff is kind of really cool. When you listen, you go, why the heck did I bring up that? Well, what the hell was I talking about there? And I've done those ones as well. Trying to figure out what was I talking about. And then, but it's also inspired me that maybe I should go back, pick out some of those topics, if they're still relevant, do a new recording with new information on those topics. So I thought, well, that's a really cool idea. So, there's no reason why, if you've got a video that's like 10 years old or a podcast that's 10 years old, or, a book, books always get updates and stuff. So why not take a book that you wrote? Because information that you put out there at the time was relevant for that time. You may need to update that information to bring it up to date. So why not go back, look at some of the stuff that you did, way back in the Wayback Machine when you first got started with podcasts, videos, radio shows, interviews, books, any of that sort of thing. Even if you're writing newspaper articles as well, go back, have a look at that stuff, and then sort of thought, wow, can I update that? How can I update that to bring it to today so it's relevant, and then go record a whole new episode on it? And I thought, I like that idea. I kind of like that idea. So I'm going to be going through some of my stuff and seeing what I can find that I can go back and redo, and also use the framework from those old podcasts and videos and stuff to be the framework for an updated version of those videos, podcasts, etc. So that was my thought today. And, blast from the past. You can get inspired by things from the past. This is what I love about genealogy. I'm totally switching wheels here. I've gone from travel to genealogy. Okay. So now we're on genealogy. My show, my rules. That's what I love about genealogy. It is a blast from the past. You go back and you're researching your family history, and you're coming across stories along the way. You're finding newspaper articles. There's been some research I've done for some families where I've come across newspaper articles about a member in their family that they had no clue about. They didn't even know that person had done whatever they had done. The accomplishment that they had made was written up in the newspaper. They knew nothing about it. So they were interested to learn more about it. So we were able to point them in the right direction to go do the research, to go and research it more, to find out more about this particular article, what happened in this article, the events that took place and all that sort of thing. So she just ate half of her food. Tummy must be feeling better. But anyway, so just go back, so even when you're doing something like genealogy, finding out those stories from the past, from ancestors that are no longer, relatives that are no longer with us, and you find out these stories, it's really cool to go back and do some more research on them and think, wow, I never knew that they used to do that, or I didn't know that they did that. And you can go to somewhere like newspapers.com. They have a whole bunch. I mean, they've got thousands and thousands and thousands of newspapers digitized that can be searched, which is the coolest part. You've got digitized newspapers that can be searched. But when you're looking at old newspapers, look at the commercials that are on the page. Look at the advertisements that are there. What are they selling? What is the hot thing during that time period or at that point in time? Because every newspaper has the date across the top. So what was the in thing to wear? What was the thing that people were buying at the time? What was some new gadget that had come out that they're advertising? So you can get all sorts of ideas from the past and talk about things. And I'm fascinated by it. Also, too, when you're looking at the newspaper and you found the article, you can clip the article, and it is a subscription service. It is a subscription service, so I'll warn you on that. Go back to page 1. What were the headlines on that particular day? It's kind of fun reading some of the headlines and things too. But then you got some really cute articles in there about little Susie's birthday, and these were all the people that were in attendance for it, and she had this type of a cake, and she was wearing this type of dress. I thought, 10 years old and they're writing it up in the paper. Who was this family that their daughter's 10th birthday got written up in the newspaper? So now you go and sort of like go research this family to see who were they some high society people? Were they just regular blue collar? Were they low class, mid class? Whatever the time period was, what caused a 10-year-old's birthday to be written up in a paper? Did they just need something to fill a gap and somebody knew about this birthday party going on or whatnot? And so it's kind of fun that you can go back and like just have a look and see who is this family? Are they prominent in their community? And that's why they got written up in the thing about it. Are they a small community where everything gets written up in the newspaper? I remember I still have the newspaper that article that was written. We used to do at my high school, there was a group of us that would get together and we would do a variety show for the age concerned. The age concerned was the senior citizens in our little town of 6,500 people. And they called it Age Concern. They did not call it Senior Center. They didn't call it, that was the Age Concern Center. It wasn't the Senior Center, anything like that. It was just Age Concern. And one of the local reporters there was a member of this Age Concern. So he got to come along in two capacities. One as a member of the organization and two as the reporter. And he wrote up about the variety show and talked about people that were in there, and he even took a picture. And it's a picture of 4 of us girls standing up there. There was Judy, Linda, myself, and Sandra that were up there. And we're doing Hey Big Spender. And we've got these little mini dresses on with no sleeves. We've got the long gloves on. And we had this whole dance routine for Hey Big Spender as we were singing it. It was pretty cool. And they had this picture of us all there with our arms up like this. It was really cool. We all had different types of dresses on. That was so much fun. But then at the end, we did, and then they had a tap dancer come on. We had a tap dancer in our school, so she came on and did a performance. We had our school choir there, that a small version of our school choir, and they came in and sang some songs and all that sort of stuff, and we were part of that. We had just a little variety show going on. We had people that did sat down and played the piano, which happened to be up on the stage, which didn't give me a lot of room for my routine that was coming later on, but I managed to make it work. You just got to be adaptable. And we just put on the show. It was about an hour, just over an hour or something, but we had a lot of fun putting on the show. And then afterwards they bring in, we could have a cup of tea and biscuits and cake and muffins and all that sort of stuff. Where they had a spread there that we were able to go and mingle with the age concerned people, with the senior citizens, and have conversations with them. And they all raved about the show and talked about their favorite pieces and what they really liked. None of them really had anything bad to say about us, which was kind of cool. But my number at the end was that we had the choir standing down off the corner of the stage because there was no room for them to be up on stage. It was a tiny stage and there was a piano. Fortunately, it was an upright piano. It was pushed up against one side there. And they were singing Rainbow Connection. And I had this dance routine. I had this leotard on. It was my gymnastics leotard that was mainly blue. It had 2 white stripes and then a red stripe down the middle. And then around my waist, I had this band that I put together, and I had all these different colored sheer scarves hanging off it. And I had my little ballet slippers on. Not that I ever did ballet, but I had my little ballet slippers on because they gave me the traction that I needed on the thing, whatever. They helped me with the moves and stuff. And at the end of the song, as the song's winding down, I do this cartwheel and go into a full splits. And fortunately, I was able to fit the cartwheel in because it was a very, very small stage. And they wrote it up in the paper as ending the number with a can-can style cartwheel, ending in full splits, but more graceful and not as boisterous as the French variety. And I still have that newspaper clipping out of our local paper about that show that we did. And that's really cool to go back and see and have it in an album and everything. And I've got that little bit underlined about my can-can style cartwheel and full splits, but more graceful and not as boisterous as the French variety. That's like, how do they do the can-can? So I wanted to learn about the can-can when I wrote that in there. My mother was like, yeah, no. What I didn't realize at the time is I'd actually seen a can-can. What was it? We went and saw the musical, was it Showboat? might have been on Showboat where they did can-cans. Where they did can-can. Yeah, it was. I think it was Showboat we went and saw. My parents were members of the Palmerston North Operatic Society, and they always got first dibs on tickets and discounted tickets to go and see whatever productions were coming in and that sort of thing. So, and at the time we were living in a town 20 minutes away, and so there'd be weekends I would go and stay with them. It wasn't often. It was maybe once, maybe twice a year. But I got to see some really cool shows. I got to see Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, got to see Showboat, got to see Dick Whittington and his cat as a pantomime. If you've never seen a pantomime, girls play guys, guys play girls. What was I saying? Oh, Half a Sixpence. What were some of the other ones that I saw? They didn't know. It wasn't Oklahoma. It was trying to think of all the musicals I've seen on screen that I saw on stage as well. But those are the ones that I remember the most. So there was Showboat, Joseph and Magic Colored Dreamcoat, Half a Sixpence, Dick Whittington and his cat. Did I say? Yeah, and two of them, Joseph and Magic Technicolor Dreamcoat and Half a Sixpence, have my favorite stage star in there, which is Rob Guest. Rob Guest went on to moving into Australia, and he got the lead as Phantom in Phantom of the Opera in Sydney, and he became I think he may still hold the record, even though he's since passed, may still hold the record of being the longest serving Phantom in the history of Phantom of the Opera. At one point, Andrew Lloyd Webber wanted him to go to London. He's like, nope, my family is here. I'm staying here. But he went on to do, he also did Les Mis, the main character from Les Mis. I did not get to see him in that, but I did get to see him in Phantom, which was awesome. And then he was, keep forgetting the name of that thing. It's one of the Wizard of Oz musicals, and he played the wizard in it, and he was actually the wizard at the time when he passed away. But yeah, so that's where I first got to see him, was in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, and then he came back in Half a Sixpence, which was really cool. You can actually watch it on movie. It's got Tommy Steele in it. It was done back in like the 60s or something, but it's a really cool little musical about two people who meet when they're kids and they grow apart, and then years later they get back together and that sort of stuff. So it's a cute little musical. But anyway, so oh my gosh, we've gone from travel and podcasts and videos and everything else into talking about shows and stage productions, and oh my gosh. This has been a variety show tonight. This podcast, a blast from the past. Yes, everything we talked about was a blast from the past. So it all fitted in with the thing, but we had a variety show on this evening. I don't know what's going on. Oh, my hair's coming out of its ponytail at the back. That's what was the problem. So, looking at things from your past and stuff can inspire you for things today as well. So look, don't ignore your past. Yes, I know some people have had some traumatic things that have happened to them in their past. I totally get that. I understand that. I've had some stuff happening back then too. But they learn to move forward from it. They will not move on. They will not move on, but they will move forward. And some people don't want to revisit. But the thing is that, what was this? It was like a light that just, angels. I'm putting it down to angels. But what are some of the highlights, the things that you remember, the things that you were happy about that made you happy? And look at those. And no vehicles out there. But look back at some of the stuff that you've done in the past, and what can you do today to bring it up to date? And I've got to find that piece of writing. It was funny when after Brad had passed, my parents came over, and they stayed for a month to help me get stuff sorted out and all that sort of thing. And we were going through some of the boxes in the garage. We'd had our boxes sitting in the garage for a while and never had our cars in the garage. And so they got through. We got a whole bunch sorted. We got a whole bunch of stuff given away. We started off with like around 400 boxes and ended up with about 30, I think it was, or 40, somewhere around there. We did a lot. And there was one box that we came across that had stuff I had written in high school, some of my creative writing from high school. And when I got it, I went, oh my gosh. My mom goes, what's that? I says, you can't read it. And she's like, why can't I read it? I says, because you've got to read it in the right tone. She's like, what do you mean? I said, you can't read it. You have to speak it. And I said, but I'll tell you this. I said, look at the grade I've got on here. And it had written on the back by my English teacher, it had A+, excellent load of rubbish. And my mum's sort of like, who wrote that? And I told her the name of the teacher. She's like, well, why did you write that? I says, are you ready? And so she calls my dad over and says, Helen's going to read us this piece. And the teacher put on it, A+, excellent load of rubbish. And she also put school mag as well, but they never printed it in the school mag. And basically what it was this piece that I'd written about a horse race. And, the horses had all sorts of weird and wonderful names. And we played on it was a big play on words and things like that. So when I find it, I will, once I get everything out of storage, when I find that piece, I just might one evening surprise you all and read it. But it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to write. It was a lot of fun to write, and we were working in teams, so we each working on our own piece, but we also had to read each other's pieces and give feedback as we were doing the writing and stuff. And my friend Samantha, she was cracking up laughing. We were just sitting there. She's trying to write her piece, which was serious. I'm trying to write my piece, which is comedy. And we're just sitting there cracking up laughing. And the teacher was like, if you don't stop, but you wanted us to critique each other's work. And Samantha's critiquing my piece of work. And the teacher was like, okay. But when we got to hand it all in at the end of class, she understood why. A+, excellent load of rubbish. Yes, I write rubbish and it's excellent. But anyway, on that note, I'm out of here. Go have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. Pacific. Until then, hei konara.